Abu, there has been nothing like this ever in America. This is fantastic, Abu. By Allah. Allah bless you and love you so much. Oh, Allah. What can I say? What can I say? This is the fruit of your labor, Abu. This is the fruit of your labor. And I have never in my life seen something like this. This just leave me speechless.
To my companion, you were born and you are my companion.
Power
to
the people, if you understand, sing for me. Yeah. Power to the people, if you understand, sing for me. Say you feel me. Power to the people, if you understand, sing for me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Muhammad Shahid. Hope all is well. When you tune in, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us grow. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the support thus far for the podcast. The support has been overwhelming, although I think we have to remind our listeners to like and subscribe. But we appreciate you. This particular show I've been wanting to do for some time now. I've tried to do it during Black History Month because this is not only Black history but American history. And I tried around March 10th, which would have been my father's birthday. But I didn't get it done. I didn't get it done at those particular the particular time that I wanted to do it in. But I'm here now trying to complete this without getting choked up and emotional because I miss my father so much. So we're gonna go down a little history lane, and this season 3 is contribute to my father, Muhammad Atiq, also known as Henry Thomas before he became Muslim. We do say as Muslims, may the Almighty be pleased with him if he has passed away. In the first show, I spoke to my brothers about contributing season 3 to my father, and we all agreed, and we wanted to do a tribute. Throughout season 3, we're going to bring on some people from our family, and help explain to the listener who my father was, and the character of the man that was my father. And some of it, for myself, I'm learning now after he has passed. And I'm learning so many things about him after he's passed. I already knew. Me and him conversated the years before he was very ill. Diabetes is we can say diabetes is the cause, but, we all have a fixed time. We all have a time where we're going to be called back to our Creator. No one knows when that time is, but our Creator does. And you leave this dwelling. But nevertheless, we spoke a lot prior to him leaving. So it is, that's what I said. I don't want to get choked up because I miss him so much. And not only is he a huge factor in my life, my parents are both huge. My mother and my father is very huge factors. My siblings, my uncles, my nieces, my nephews. And if I speak about my father, I'd be remiss not to mention there's so many people that worked closely with him, including my sheikh, my spiritual guide, who've worked closely with him to achieve something which is historical. which is very historical. And in this time that we live in, there's so many conversations surrounding around self-sufficiency, um, landowner, gardening and eating what you grow. There's so many conversations surrounded around that within the African American community, and it's being done. Not only is it being done now, it was not being done during that time that my father was coming up. So that's why I say I'm giving you the reason. I'm giving you the, for instance, why this story, why this historic, what makes this American history. What makes this American history is that in that time, this was not being done. What they have done was not being done, or not even being thought about in the African American communities, especially in the ghettos of Brooklyn, New York, especially in the ghettos of Brooklyn, New York. So it brings us to the who we are today. Me, my children, my grandchildren, who we are today. So I'm giving some context on even the reason why I'm here doing a podcast, sharing some parts of my life and sharing some parts of the wisdom that they imparted upon us, through the education and the traveling that they did throughout their life. My father and my sheikh included, both alike, which was his teacher, which was my teacher as well. My sheikh, which was my father's teacher and my teacher as well. So that's the story behind this being history, an American history, because we came from a neighborhood. We were a group of close-knitted family members that came from a neighborhood and started a self-sufficiency communities in multiple different states, and are still thriving today. So this is why I say this is American history, and it should be told, it should be talked about, it should be explained thoroughly so that it's understood, and people will know that this is the outline that you're following. This is the outline you're following. This was done years and years before you thought about doing this. So this was the outline that was outlined by Sheikh Saeed Mubarak Ali Shah Gilani. And, if you think about it, if you do some deep thinking about it, it's, you can say it's a genius move, and it is. And it is. So it brings us to, like I said, this point that we at, and it's being American history. I wanted to do it in African American History Month, which was February, a couple of months back. But I didn't get the opportunity to do it. And now here I am right now. We are currently going into the last 10 days of Ramadan. It has been a beautiful Ramadan. I pray that everybody's prayers and du'as that they've been making throughout this Ramadan are answered. And they have, as we all try to, have called on their Creator as much as they can and repented as much as they can for their sins that they have. We are sinners. We're sinners. Nobody's perfect. And we have to continuously repent for the things that we've done, that have either wronged people, wronged ourselves, or wronged our families. And I hope, pray that we have done that during this month of Ramadan. So like I said, we're in the last 10 days of Ramadan. We're almost completed another Ramadan. We have our Eid celebration coming up after these last 10 days. And God willing, that we will enjoy and have a nice festival, I hope and pray. To carry on about who season 3 is being dedicated to, my father, Muhammad Atiq Abdush Shahid, also known as Henry Thomas before he became Muslim. He was born in 1948 in Denmark, South Carolina. He passed away in December 20th in 2017. But he lived a very interesting life. In 1948, there was still segregation going on. You think about 1948, you could tell 1948. What are some major things that you could think about in 1948? Going on right now in Israel with the Palestinian people in Israel. They say the Palestinian conflict. In 1948, they say when the conflict actually started. So a lot of historical things happened around that time. They had just granted rights for segregation to be removed in the military. There's a lot of things that happened in 1940, but to paint a picture of that time, there was still segregation going on. There was still a lot of strong racism going on. And so you could imagine growing up at that time. His family moved to Philadelphia when he was a child. They moved to Queens, New York. And that's where he played, sports at high school. And, he got involved in civil rights movements. And, he started to, as a teenager, he always had he already had that civil rights movement, activist movement blood inside of him. Like we have to do better as a people. You got to think about the mindset of somebody during that time. Either you were going to be, devoured, or you were going to speak up and speak out. And he chose to be that type of person. So he got into civil rights during his teenage years, right before he got drafted into the military and sent over to Vietnam. Yeah, now you're a young African American. I'm giving you a description of the mindset, or trying to give you the description of the mindset, because I can't possibly imagine. I can only assume, based on my small knowledge of history and historic things that happened within the United States before and during and after the Vietnam War. So you go off to Vietnam as a young African American, you still have some racism, a lot of racism going on in the military at that time. Although in 1948, which is the year he was born, segregation was removed from the military. But you still have, racism going on at that time. Goes to Vietnam, fights in the Vietnam War, injured in the Vietnam War. He kind of told me the story a little bit. I think some shrapnel or a grenade blew up next to him and injured him in his face and his eye. I don't know if you can tell. I think it's one of these eyes right here. It's genetic now. I got a little dead eye. I don't know if you can tell, but I mean, a lot of his children have that, from the injury during the Vietnam War. It's amazing. Amazing what genetics would do, how they develop, and carry on to your children and your lineage. But injured in Vietnam, and so he got medically discharged. Probably sitting in a hospital. So many things going through your mind. I'm not dead. I'm not, and I can contest. We're not going to talk about my story, but soon. But I could contest. So many things going through your mind. You're almost dead. You're not dead. Now what do? You got to go back home to the U.S. Racism is heavy in the U.S. Protest is heavy in the U.S. because they're protesting the Vietnam War. There's so many things going on. There's so many activist movements. You got the Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X movement going on at that time. You have white supremacists. You got